Around 7 a.m. on Thursday, more than an hour before the tremor, ABS-CBN News visited Ecoland 4000 condominium in Davao City. There were no evident signs of danger from the outside, but inside the building, cracks were visible caused by Tuesday's magnitude 6.6 earthquake. At 9:11 in the morning, as another massive quake struck the region, the ground and second floors of the building finally collapsed. Rescue operations were immediately launched and the injured treated by medics on site. 9 people were injured, including one who had to be hospitalized for head trauma. The condominium management has yet to issue a statement. The city engineer's office had already recommended the building be condemned prior to Thursday's tremor.
Hey, what is good, beautiful people? Of course, you know who I be. Good Doc, Dr. Mike TV. Back again, once again. You already know what it is, baby. It's the classic in the making. First time to the channel, guys. Make sure you subscribe, notify, do all the good things to make yourself well-versed to the Good Doc's content. Everything you should need to know about me shall be listed in the links in the description area below. I wanted to have this conversation because if you guys are up on recent events about a couple of days to a few weeks or so ago, I can't remember the exact date, but there was a condo situation that happened in Miami wherein a 12-story building just collapsed, or a part of that building collapsed. I mean, there were casualties, a lot of damage, you know, some injuries and stuff like that. And, you know, it really did bring me back to a particular moment in time in the Philippines where a certain situation had taken place, more specifically in my area in Davao City. All right. Now, if you guys watched the video that preceded this particular video, you'll understand where I'm coming from with this. But about the later part of 2019, or mid to late part of 2019, the Philippines was going through this time where there were consistent earthquakes or things that were happening and tremors and all of this stuff, and it was causing buildings to shake. Apparently, the building that, and I'm very familiar with this building because it's across from SM City Davao, the one in the video. I'm very familiar with the building. Apparently, this particular building was set to quote-unquote be condemned, but there were still people that were choosing to live in these places. Now, apparently, one of the earthquakes that happened prior to the one where the building actually had its moment, people said they were noticing cracks and all of that stuff in the building, and I do believe that they were told to evacuate. Some people did and some people did not. As a result, you know, you guys saw what happened. So, if you ever wanted to know what really scares me the most about having and or owning or potentially owning a condo in the Philippines, that is it. All right. Now, for many of you guys who do know this, or many of you guys who've been following my channel for a while, you guys know that, you know, my father has a condo in Manila, and the condo in which he lives in is pretty high up. I mean, in the 30s, you know, on the 30th floor and above area. Okay. And there have been times where I've been in that condo and you can kind of feel, and I mean, this is it's a faint feel, but you can feel it nonetheless. But when the winds are hard, the wind is super heavy, you can kind of feel the building swaying just a little bit. It's not a lot, but you can kind of feel it shake a little bit. And that does definitely throw me off. Now, because I do believe that we are a little bit above, you know, a lot of what could be potentially damaging in reference to the winds and all of that stuff, and all, if, you know, casualties and things like that occur, like hurricanes and, you know, earthquakes and the like, you may not feel it, but what happens is if the lower floors are affected, guess what? You take away the structure of any building, guess what? The whole damn thing comes down. So for me, and to my guys out there, if you're thinking about owning a condo, if you have one now, you know, these are things that I look for. You have to look at the people or the constructors of the building. For me and my people, we look at reputable constructors of buildings before we actually buy. We're talking about people who have done this shit before. Your Robinsons, your Ayalas, you know, the more popular companies. Now, if this is just some off-the-cuff constructing building that's coming up and I'm not really familiar with their prior work and I'm not sure about the quality of the materials and I'm not sure about all of the like, I'm definitely questioning whether I would want to potentially purchase a building in this particular area. I don't know you that well. I'm not sure about how your buildings have fared in the past. You don't have but maybe 1 or 2 developments, if any, prior to what you're doing now that could show me that your buildings have a reputation for being sturdy, sound structures. Because my biggest fear is being in a condo and that motherfucker coming down. I'm scared of heights as is. All right. So, you know, that's one of my biggest fears. And that's definitely something that I want you guys to think about and consider when you're actually buying a condo. I want you to really look at the developer. That's literally where you should be able to get a general idea of what type of building you are potentially buying and or investing in. All right. Some of you don't want to buy. Some of you just want to rent. Same rules apply. Granted, you could get out of there quickly if you need to, you know, break lease or whatever, or you can get out because you're paying on a 6-month basis. Once the 6 months are up, you can leave. But you definitely want to make sure you're renting and or, you know, especially if this is for a long period of time, you want to make sure that you're renting in an area where the development is a property, where the developers and their properties are well known and trusted. Because if it's just a newbie coming into the game, you know what I'm saying, you don't know if they have a reputation of being able to use quality material or shoddy material. You know, and I often think about that time and time again. If I'm ever going to buy a condo, because there's always the debate on condo versus houses. And the reason most foreigners choose condos is because they can own it. But I always have that debate in my mind about, okay, if I'm going to buy, where am I going to buy? And then you have to keep in mind a condo's life expectancy is about 50 years. So you have to think about that as well. I don't know how that really plans itself out or how it really works, but roughly the lifespan of any condo development, as crazy as it sounds, is roughly about 50 years. You know, that's when I guess the building, to an extent, I don't know how this really works, but about the 50-year mark, sometimes they rebuild or, you know, condemn or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but sometimes that does happen about the 50-year mark. So you have to think about how long you plan on keeping this, how long you plan on holding this, and, you know, the like. My father's been in his condo development since the early 2000s. I want to say roughly about 2003-ish. Because he had that before I even came to visit, for between 2003 and 2005. So if you imagine that building is roughly estimated at about, at the recording of this video, about 20 plus years, or close to about 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? It's got another life expectancy of about another 20 years on it. So these are things that you got to think about as well. How long do you want to hold? I mean, are you going to sell, take your money and run? Is there in your contract, is there reimbursement? If the building is condemned, are they going to pay you for the value of your condo in the moment? Are they going to try to shortchange you? I mean, because also there's a lot of people in these buildings that don't own their condos. And that's just another story for another day, wherein people are staying and they ain't really owning it because they haven't paid their bills or anything like that. And they just staying in it. That's also another issue to cover in another video. But yeah, I want you to really think about that. And I damn sure want you to marinate on it, because who knows how that's going to play out. All right, so if you're thinking about owning a condo, think about the developer. The developer is literally where you need to focus your attention. Do your due diligence. Fuck if the condo is cheap. Sometimes cheap doesn't mean great. Granted, I know a lot of us don't come to the Philippines flush with cash, and, you know, you get in there and you start to see something that's only like 1M or 1.2 M, you know, less than 2M, depending, and that's roughly about 40,000, you know, USD. You start to think, oh man, this is it, man. This is the spot. This we can make this work, right? Don't sell yourself short, man. I'm not saying that you got to buy the most expensive. No. Kind of find a place where you can meet in the middle. And if there are condominium developments coming up and they're doing a pre-sale and you can get it at a good price, but again, the condo developer is somebody that you know does great work, please, please, please pay attention to that. Or we'll end up with a situation like we had in Miami. You know, that's crazy, bro. That is crazy. And, you know, this is the United States, man. You don't think that contractors here are using shoddy material. I mean, you would hope not. You know, this is something actually that you would expect to happen in developing countries. Not something that's supposed to happen in the United States of America. But guess what? It happened. And now it's fresh on my mind. And now it's definitely something that I really, really want to talk about. So we could dialogue about it in the comment section. You can let me know how you feel. What's on your mind? I will be glad to listen. All right? Definitely going to respond. All right? Guys, hope you appreciate this video. Hope you appreciate this tidbit of information. I pray that all is well with you guys. And with that being said, man, the Good Doc's on to the next one. So with that being said, Good Doc is officially out. At least nako paalam, which means I am going now. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Sincerely do. Mahakita. Babuhay. Peace.